They lose a corner, the fabric rips, and the Dolphins patch it with whatever they have left on the shelf. Cornell Armstrong goes to injured reserve, and suddenly the secondary feels more like a question than a structure. The move wasn't dramatic on paper, another name out, another name in. But inside the locker room, that kind of small administrative entry reads like a loud admission. We are thin, and the margin for error has vanished. Jordan Colbert gets the call up to the 53-man roster. He's been here before in one form or another: training camp watcher, preseason hustle guy, an off-season roster familiar face. That history matters because it means the coaches didn't have to teach him the playbook from scratch. They just had to trust him to translate effort into execution when the lights are brighter and losses actually change the mood in the locker room. Colbert is not an abstract prospect. He's a physical defender who bangs, who finds space and fills it. On tape, he looks like someone who enjoys contact the way other players enjoy scoring. That kind of defender gives you a tone more than a stat line. Mean, engaged, willing. The Dolphins needed that kind of signal after watching backfield bodies pile up. Kendall Sheffield lands on the practice squad. This isn't youth. This is a veteran who's seen enough film to stop flinching when the quarterback looks his way. Sheffield's not the kind of addition that headlines a paper. He's the kind of addition that stitches seams. Steady, experienced, unflashy. The math is ugly for Miami. When injuries take a bite, you're often left choosing between guys whose resumes are either still in progress or whose highlight is simply survival. Sheffield can survive. That's the point. Surviving in nickel packages, running with quick receivers, handling those sudden slot responsibilities. That's what the team bought when the roster simplified to need. But let's be honest. Survive is not the same as thrive. The Dolphins gave invitations to both possibilities: a young hitter in Colbert who creates chaos, and a journeyman in Sheffield who brings reliability. The problem for Miami is that the rest of the defense is already stretched. Minkah Fitzpatrick is the obvious answer in the room. He's played all over the secondary for a reason. He's comfortable stepping down close to the box, reading run fits, and owning space. Yet expecting Minkah to become every answer is asking too much. He's not a magical fix. He is one highly skilled player asked to absorb other people's minutes and responsibilities, and that kind of redistribution always costs something somewhere else. You can map this to the bigger picture without being clinical about it. The Dolphins had a blueprint: aggressive, variant, borrows and disguises. That blueprint now smells of improvisation. The secondary was supposed to be a composed collection of athletes who could rotate, hide weaknesses, and manufacture stops. Injuries shift priorities. Now you wonder whether your young safety can tackle in traffic, whether your veteran corner can adjust to speed mismatches, whether the coaches will dare to play Minkah lower and expose other seams. Those are not abstract chess moves. Those are outcomes that decide whether the team remains competitive at the end of a fourth quarter. Think about the mentality, too. When a defensive back gets the IR designation, it's not only an administrative pause, it's a message to the room. The message says someone else will have to step in and carry more of the psychic load. That creates subtle changes in how players read the game. Young guys feel the spotlight and either drink it or choke on it. Veterans tighten up, trying to keep the ship steady. Coaches change play calls. That chain reaction plays out every time the list grows. The Dolphins front office and coaching staff are now juggling the tightrope act between urgency and patience. Play Colbert fast to see what he has, or hide him to keep the defense from breaking down. Start Sheffield in the nickel as a precaution, or hold him as emergency depth and hope the rest heal. None of these questions will be answered by optimism alone. The Chargers are coming, an offense built on timing and weapons, not forgiveness. Miami's secondary will be tested by route concepts that thrive on small windows and quick separations. That's precisely the pressure that exposes flimsy depth. The roster moves are tactical, but the game on Sunday is primal. Can the defense bend without breaking, or will the unit crack at the seams when the ball goes to the right places? It's easy to say preseason production is different from regular season reality, and that's true. But Colbert's preseason flashes are not meaningless. Coaches often value specialists who show a willingness to finish plays over players who merely look polished in practice. Colbert plays with a short fuse toward the ball. He's the kind of player who, in tight moments, might be the one who makes a football play instead of a textbook play. That impulse can be both a blessing and a liability. It's the same trait that makes fans cheer and coordinators sigh. Against quick offenses, reaction time and technique matter far more than sheer enthusiasm. Still, when you are shorthanded and the margin is slim, enthusiasm plus the right coaching can be a legitimate gamble worth taking. Sheffield's arrival is less poetic, more procedural. The Dolphins need bodies who understand alignment, who can cover the middle ground when starters slide, who won't over-rotate and open up lanes. His presence says this team is looking for reliability in the short term. It doesn't scream future cornerstone. It whispers, we can keep this from getting worse. That whisper can feel like salvation after a day of hard hits and locker room silence. And then there's the intangible fan reaction. People in Miami don't like losing. They like loud nights, and they have grown used to a certain expectation. When bodies start dropping in the secondary, fans flip into a mode of irritation that borders on panic. Social feeds fill with hot takes, some fair, many not. But the truth that sits under all the noise is straightforward. Depth is a soft currency in the NFL. Teams that win the long haul have that invisible bank account, filled with competent backups and flexible veterans. Miami has options, but the list is not overflowing. Each new move reveals what's actually in the deposit box. Coaches will tweak. Defenses will disguise. Schemes will shift. Maybe Fitzpatrick drops more. Maybe the front seven must make up for a secondary that can't cover as deep. Maybe special teams take on larger responsibility for field position. Beautiful coaching plans have a way of becoming improvisation under pressure. That isn't an indictment, it's how the league works. The real test is whether the improvisation leads to a cleaner, sharper team, or whether it buries attention to fundamental responsibilities. One of the darker possibilities is the domino effect. If the Chargers' receivers find seams, Miami's pass rush will start to get impatient and rush lanes it shouldn't, creating opportunities the other team will gladly exploit. Football is choreography, and if one set of legs goes lame, the rest feel the imbalance. It's not a mechanical failure. It's a confidence failure that manifests as missed tackles, late reactions, and mental errors. A corner who's played 2 snaps too many will start losing timing. A safety who's asked to cover too many responsibilities will hesitate. Those are the micro faults that compound. Yet here's the flip side that fans and the media forget in their rush to declare doom. Adversity exposes character. Colbert's promotion is an audition. Sheffield's presence is a reminder that the roster is a living document. The players who respond to the adversity with clarity, grit, and focus will be the ones who carry the team through. The Dolphins coaching staff must channel those traits instead of masking them with complex schematics. Simplify when needed. Trust when appropriate. Stop overcomplicating to the point where players paralysis by overinstruction. Expect a few ugly plays. Expect young players learning under pressure. Expect veterans tasked with more responsibility. That doesn't mean the defense will crumble. It means the team will have to earn stops differently. It will require a willingness from the offense to control the clock, from the special teams to flip field position, and from the coaching staff to accept that some plays will be won on hustle rather than schematic brilliance. Sometimes you win when you outtry the opponent. Sometimes you hang on because the unit refuses to fold when always outmatched on paper. It's also a test for identity. Are the Dolphins built to be adaptable, or are they a collection of stars whose absence breaks the structure? The answer lies in performances over the next few weeks. Colbert and Sheffield are not a panacea. They are, however, the latest pieces in a season that will be defined by adjustments. How Miami fits them in, how the teammates respond, and how the staff balances risk and safety will say more about the team's trajectory than any headline about injuries. The roster shuffle is not merely a logistical footnote. It shapes practice intensity, film room attention, and the way defensive captains speak in the huddle. You can feel the gravity of those moves even before the snap. The stakes are immediate. Stop drives or don't. The players inserted now will be measured by a binary scale. Did they prevent points or did they fail? There is no room for middle ground in the NFL's cold ledger. So Miami patched the hole the best way they could. A bruising young safety who makes plays, and a veteran corner who understands the job. The rest is on execution, and on whether the rest of the team can compensate for inevitable growing pains. The Chargers will present a challenge that reveals the truth behind those transactions. What happens next will not be decided by paperwork or roster designations. It will be decided in breaths taken between snaps, in tackles finished, and in who refuses to fold when the opponent smells blood in the water.